Update. Wife deleted a message from my ex telling me that she was pregnant 5 years ago. Edit. https www.reddit.com/r/relationshipadvice/comments/sjw60x/wife deleted a message from my ex telling me that UTM medium equals Android app and UTM source equals share. Got some messages asking for updates, and since my post got some attention I should publicly update. Long story short, I met with my ex last week just to properly explain myself and discuss the whole what nows. It didn't end up being productive and mostly filled with awkward silence with a few miniature arguments. Towards the end she said that she'd been talking to a lawyer and didn't want me to be involved in. We'll be seeking full custody of our daughter with no visitation, as well as suing me for back child support and getting me on child support. So that was fun. To be clear, I was always going to provide more than my fair share for any child of mine. I really don't know how any of this works, but I haven't received anything from the court or something, so it could have just been a threat, but she seemed serious. Regardless, I decided to find myself a lawyer to help me instead of waiting around, and eventually got linked with an old friend's brother whom I'm meeting tomorrow, which is great. My wife and I are trying to work things out. Due to the lawyer-court situation, financially speaking, we couldn't get an actual therapist, but my wife's pastor offered to provide marriage counseling for us. We only had 2 sessions before the family drama broke out, and we temporarily put counseling on pause. Basically, the thing about my wife deleting the message leaked out to the rest of the family, which has led my wife getting uncivil messages from a couple family members. My lovely older sister also decided to add to the fire by posting about this on her FB. My wife has locked herself at home since and is taking everything quite badly, since even her friends now know and have distanced themselves from her. I'm actually quite worried about it, but at least her mum is there with her and I try to check on her regularly. It's all just overwhelming. When I'm not thinking about my daughter, I'm thinking about my ex. When I'm not thinking about my ex, I'm thinking about my family drama, and when I'm not thinking about that, I'm thinking about my marriage and the pregnancy. And there's still work, so it's been a really terrible week. Finding it hard to maintain optimism and excitement for my daughter when all this has happened. Just a shit situation all round. This ended up being more of a vent, so sorry about that. I probably won't give another update in future unless there's good news, so just thanks for the support. I feel bad for everyone. One question though, why didn't your ex try harder? I mean, she had 5 years to tell you. I do not recommend church-related counseling. Seek professional help. Did you bother to press your wife on if she read the text or not? That was one of the most pressing questions posed in the last post. Get a real therapist, not a pastor. You can get online these days too. People are focusing on whether or not she read it, and I get that. I understand you believe she didn't read it. I'm not so sure, but okay. However, can I ask about the actual deleting of the message? Look, if my so found a message on my phone and was not okay with it, regardless of who it was from, and even if she didn't read it, I'd expect her to talk to me about it. You know, to communicate, use words, express thoughts and feelings, etc. Deleting messages and blocking people from someone else's phone without their permission and without telling them is not very healthy. It says a lot about someone's character. And honestly, it's actually kinda a little bit very sketchy. Of course you know your wife better than me or anyone here, and I'm certainly not saying, hey, dump your wife or anything like that, but for real, dude, that kinda behavior is such a bad omen. And it's not like bad hygiene or manners, i.e. something that's in your face and out in the open. It's pervasive and done behind your back. Does it fit into your understanding of her as a person? Is she remorseful for the actual violation of privacy and not just the consequences of that violation? Is the digital equivalent of throwing away your mail even a cause for concern for you? Not judging, just curious. Edit. Spelling. Edit 2. On a side note, you mentioned your mum in the original post. If mum's the word where you're from, the mate, just keep in mind a lot of the legal advice on here is American and therefore will not apply to you. Fight for your daughter. In most states, U.S., unless you're completely incompetent, dangerous, you'll get at least partial custody of her or liberal visitation. And get a paternity test to be sure. What is the ending you want? You write. You seem to want to be forgiven by your ex and your child. Are you willing to give that to your wife? Start to separate the issues. Your wife first. If you want a future, you have to forgive. I think the reasonable person doesn't believe she did not read the text. But who is she right now, and is that someone you want to be with? Have some grace, Charity. She is pregnant and probably do everything to have the best for her child. And for herself. If you want a future with her, the family drama ends this second. You have to call everyone to knock the shit off. It is not helping, rather it is burning a bridge. They are taking away your agency and making a decision to disclose your personal life to others to decide your future. Your child and your ex. Meet with your lawyer. Make sure they practice in family court matters and follow the advice you are given. Expect very little at first. Seek to have some limited visitation until you build trust with your daughter and her mother. If you have a shit home life, you have a Herculean task ahead and you won't get a chance to build that relationship. Solve the wife issue first. Forgive her or divorce her. Make that decision. If you forgive, it is then her burden to rebuild what she had a hand in destroying. There are no victims here. Don't act like one. You and your wife have to be a team, otherwise you are wasting everyone's time and creating drama. For you and 2 kids. I'm not a lawyer, but I find it really hard to believe she can keep your child from you completely and make you pay child support. Seems like the court wouldn't allow that to happen. Isn't your wife pregnant? All this stress is horrible for the baby. Your family is messing up with your baby too. Not only with your wife, and one mistake don't give reason to have another. So I would suggest you to tell them to back off. Funny how karma worked out for her wife. Really hope you catch the better end of this up. My man, grow a pair of balls and attitude. Be kind to your ex. Apologize for all the shit you did to her. And that you want to be in your daughter life. How could you just stay silent? I don't think I could believe that your wife didn't read the message. I wouldn't be able to get past that part of it. You lost 5 years with your child because of her. Your ex didn't make much of an effort with just one text. So she got blocked? Big deal. She only turned up again for some cash and doesn't want you in your kid's life because she is selfish, and that is simply not good enough. You need to get a lawyer to get access to your kid. No sane judge is going to stop you if you establish the circumstances in evidence. Yay, I still think your wife read those messages back in the day. No way should Op's wife ever be near the 5-year-old. I highly doubt she didn't read the message, and I highly doubt she's matured. All of her actions now are an act. I feel bad for the ex and the little girl. You know, wife will never treat her well. Sounds harsh, but I'm glad OP's wife is finally facing the consequences of her actions. Your wife is a fucking horrible person. That's actually abhorrent. Fight for your child and make sure you do everything by the book. Document everything. Wow. That's a crazy story. I know it's hard. But hopefully you can focus on the actual good news here, which is that you have a kid. Congratulations on that. I recommend that you tell your family to stay the hell out of your marriage. I'm not sure what to do about your wife. If she really didn't read the message, it wasn't that bad a thing to do. But still bad. But I'm not sure I believe that she didn't. If she did, that's a huge betrayal. She stole 5 years of your daughter's life from you. I don't know if I'd be able to forgive that or stay with her. It seems like you are surrounded by people with all kinds of issues. From your family to your ex to your wife. I think you really just have to focus on being the best, healthiest person you can be. You're going to need to be assertive and set boundaries and think about what you want from life. Focus on what really matters the most, which is your kid and the new one on the way, followed by your wife, whom you may not want to stay with. I'm not saying you should. And then, finally, your family, who need to stop fueling the fire with more drama. I hope your financial situation turns around enough for you to get your own therapist you need. Somebody who hasn't been surrounded by drama to help you see what's normal and healthy. Please explain everything to your lawyer in the timeline with how everything went down. Unless you were abusive and violent with your ex, she can't argue for support and at the same time deprive you of visitation. Now if you want her in your life, you'll have to go to court for it. Court will require a DNA test to place you on the birth certificate and to attest to you being a father. You two will have to become civil enough people to put the shit that happened between you away and focus only on your child. I don't see that happening if this update about you and ex is a trend or not. Expect to get reamed by the judge for not stepping up. Explanation or not. Your ex will also get reamed if she only reached out to you once and then gave up trying to find you or seek support, as she has some responsibility as well. Until you get a CO, make sure any support you give to your ex is a check or money order and document that it is for support for your daughter. After you get this through the court, everything needs to go through them so you get credit for the support you do provide. The court will also probably suggest a counselor or therapist for your daughter and visitations in the beginning, depending on how you and your ex act and the responses you two give. Ultimately, the court's not going to give a fuck what you and your ex had as far as relationships too. Unless, like I said, it involved domestic violence. The court's sole focus will most likely be on making sure your daughter is provided for, is getting any help adjusting to this new for her, and that both parents are putting forth the best interest of the child. You should wind up with visitation, but it most likely won't be immediate, and you and your wife will have to have a very long and detailed discussion about what's happening and how her actions now influence if you will be allowed not only visitation but overnight and custody on the weekends. The court process is long, drawn out and ridiculously complicated. Stay strong and stay focused for your child, my dude. Good luck. Edit. Spelling. Wow. This is a lot of feelings to process. I hope you have someone you can talk to. Be a sounding board, as there are a lot to unpack here. I hope you can find some resources to help you through. Some you can find online, I'm sure. Like grief process. Practically check what your insurance might cover. Tell your family you need them. Not to harass your wife, but to support you through this minefield of emotions. That you need them to put their own hurt aside and be there for you. They can vent to each other, but not to you or your wife. Make it clear that their actions are not helping you at all. Quite the opposite. They are adding to your stress and emotional upheaval. Be frank that their harassment of your wife is literally damaging the baby. The stress impacting the pregnant mom is also impacting the baby, and you. Because you need all the support they can give you. A safe place to vent without that turning into a witch hunt towards your wife. You will also need it to show court you have a support network that are mature enough to work together to find good solutions. Look after yourself in the process. Make sure you eat properly and go for walks. Or run. Or do some physical activities, as that will help you find some sanity in this madness and a way of helping with the anger that otherwise will build up. You need to channel that productively. You will get through this. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. It might be very faint at the moment, but it's there. I wish you all the best.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.